Fempreneur Friday is a conscious entrepreneurship community and a safe space where consciousness meets cool in divine feminine celebration and where we align over hustle.
Think about it as your own delicious happy hour for the week. It is a live, raw, and real community conversation with us, your girlfriends.
I'm Brett Sims, an entrepreneur, artist, and the founder of the global art nonprofit Stuck Designs.
And me, Stacey Wigiseria. I'm a mom, author, esthetician, self-love coach, and founder of Exalted Home and Beauty. We are here to elevate in the community and connect with you all. If you're ready to take your spirituality and business to the next level, join us.
All right. Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday.
Cheers. Cheers. All right. So this is, going to be a little bit kind of a different episode, but going to get into some more realness. So, grab your Friday drink, whether that is tea, coffee, wine, whatever. Smoothie, a green juice. Yeah, that actually sounds really good right now.
Wine, tequila, bourbon, all the things.
Right. Oh, and Stacey has, you guys can't see us because we're on audio today, but she has one of my Stuck pillows. Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically today I wanted to talk about just something that is happening along the level up, along the journey, along the entrepreneurship journey, which is, I would say, like losing friends, but just kind of like losing people, kind of before the level up, before your business, before your entrepreneurship kind of blooms into a new state of being, and thus you with it,
Right. So I guess it could be like, the ups and downs of how we experience ourselves and others, and how that manifests sometimes, and how we can hold ourselves. But before we get into that, would you be open with sharing like how we came about this episode? Like why?
Yes.
How, and I think like the journey you were talking about is very interesting to a lot of people. So if you're open to explaining that'd be cool.
Yeah. All right. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, community who is listening has been listening to our podcast for a bit. But, I've shared stuff here and there about my business, about my life, but I haven't really gone into detail about stuff that's happened in this past year because I've definitely just had my head down in the computer doing a lot of things, been painting a lot, and I just wanted to really like clearly observe, from afar, just like things that have been happening. And I always like to process stuff before I speak on it. And I want to have my thoughts organized. I want to have the facts straight. And that's just kind of how I operate. So enough time has passed where I feel like I just want to delve into some of the things that I've been going through and struggling with in this past year. And and I guess how that's affected me. But it kind of like it affects, I think a lot of people will be able to resonate with it. So how it kind of like came about was with an old or like ex-friend, really, is how it like evolved and manifested into like me wanting to share. But I kind of had this year, I've had like several instances of, betrayal, of people talking behind my back, of slander, of jealousy, of gossip, of all that stuff. And the main point that I like really want to hone in on with that is just like how we as a collective, as a human collective, really don't understand how far and deep like little chit chat here and there or gossip can really go. Because I think that like, we think that like if we're over, like having a drink with friend, like talking shit or like that here and there, like that's not going to get back to the person, or that's not going to affect the person, or that's not going to affect us. But like we are all connected, you know, like everything and everything affects everything. It's like a domino effect. And I think that like we forget that, you know, there's so many distractions in life. There's so much going on. And like, we forget how like our words, our actions, our thoughts, like all of these things matter. All of these things feed into our businesses, our spirituality, and like who and what we are. And I think that like when you're evolving into like a new person or like the highest version of yourself, which is kind of like, I guess what we ultimately all want to be as entrepreneurs, you know, that stuff can happen. So for me, it's been, ooh, man, it's really been a struggle, but it's also been kind of a blessing because like in this past year, I've experienced like more betrayal, slander, gossip, stabbing me in my back than I've ever experienced before. But I've also never experienced so much joy and bliss in my work before and what I'm doing. And sometimes those things kind of go hand in hand. When you're doing really well, when you're elevating, when you're really focused, and when you're shining really brightly, I think that it can rub people the wrong way. It can affect people in your past. It can make people insecure a bit. It can just, you know, cause gossip, slander, chit chat to arrest. So for me, it's really been this, I've had like this experience with this one particular girl in my inner circle. But then, you know, it's like spread to, you know, the group of that inner circle. But yeah, it really started out with this one girl, and I wanted to like go back into this in the story and talk about like how it initially evolved, kind of show where like, you know, because like I'm not perfect. I've gossiped before in the past too, and you know, I make mistakes too, but like I want to kind of like go back and tell the story because there were a lot of incidents where like I, as an individual, I feel like, you know, just didn't really respect my own boundaries. And I think that, you know, that it ultimately can snowball and it ultimately can affect your business and how you move and how you're able to thrive and all that stuff. So basically there was this one girl, we're not going to say names or particulars or anything like that, but she kind of came into our really close-knit group of friends most recently. Like she's the most recent friend in the circle. And it's so interesting like how it happened because I remember it was on my 27th birthday and she crashed the party. She crashed my birthday party and it was a really intimate party. I had rented a hotel room and I always have just like, up until that point, I was 27, you know, I just had like ragers with only my close circle and I didn't really want outside. I was, you know, Drake, no new friends all the way. Like, I don't want no people there. I told all of my guy friends, like, no girls are invited, like, no this, no that. But, you know, she came in the hotel room, crashed the party. And I even, because I was like kind of drinking, I even went into the bathroom and I was like, I felt like anxiety rise up in me, you know, when somebody's energy just doesn't match yours and it's not good, it's not a good vibe, you feel it instantly. And I did feel that instantly, but I bypassed it. And then, like, you know, my friends were all trying to vouch for her. Like, we know her, we've known, you know, she's cool, we promise, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, sometimes you spiritually bypass yourself and your own gut and your own intuition when, you know, people you love are like, no, that's okay, that's cool. But like, ultimately, if something is not sitting well with your soul, your spirit, yeah, I think you ultimately do have to say like, no, just no. But I wasn't at that place in my spiritual growth, in my boundaries or anything like that. So I just kept going, and I was like, all right, cool. And then, you know, progressively, she kind of entered into our circle and very close-knit group of friends. And, you know, like, we've had this, me and Stacy too, we've had like this group of friends for like many years, from like kind of stemming from college. And yeah, it's just like a really cool college group of friends, very loving. And then we're just also similar in like weird ways, I think. And so that's what brought us together as like almost like a weird like a Dawson's Creek kind of reference for that. But yeah. So, you know, she kind of came into the circle, and it was really uncomfortable for me as it progressed because, well, you know, let me go back, because I do think I just kept spiritually bypassing myself for a bit. And I would go over her house here and there. We'd hang out. We got super close. And, you know, like I saw like she had books on her shelf or whatever. And I saw that she had like New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And so to me, it's like when people have read that, I'm like, okay, like, cool. Like, we're good. We're safe here. Like, this is conscious. This is awareness. Like, this is an aware space. But it ultimately didn't really go down like that. So yeah, you know, like time progressed. Stuff was really good and great for a while. Like, you know, just it was like regular. We're all friends, and we always would party a lot. And but I always felt safe with that group of friends because like they were more like family, you know. And some of them still are. So don't get me wrong. Like I still do have friends that would never, you know, stab me in the back, never talk behind my back, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is just not that case. So what really, the second time that I really like kind of bypassed my own boundaries, which is something I think that we do often in friendships, when it comes to like business, when it comes to whatever, was on my 30th birthday. And I remember like this, man, I really should have just ended it there, but I realized that I have this kind of sense of like misplaced compassion for people because, I mean, to put it bluntly, I really did grow up in kind of like a family of, well, they're kind of like assholes. Like there was no kind of like emotional or spiritual awareness there, and there still really isn't. So I really just felt for a long time in my life like certain behavior was okay, like certain like people being assholes to me is just normal because that's how I grew up, that's what I grew up around, you know. I realized I was conditioned to feel bad for people and to never really assert myself because that's how I was raised. That's how my parents raised me, and they would like really kind of extract like my energy and drain me and make me feel bad. And this like unwarranted compassion whenever they really like messed up or couldn't address their own emotions. And then I realized, you know, that I don't really need to feel bad for anyone, especially if they can't, you know, like be strong enough in their own character to apologize to me or, you know, whatever it may be. And I realized that, you know, due to that kind of like unwarranted compassion, it made me make so many errors in my life and my career, like, you know, with the value of my art and like with people, you know, due to the fact that my parents did it to me too, trying to get me to like almost lowball myself, lowball my own value and my own worth. And I think that like my parents and others really thought that, you know, kind of like lowballing me, kind of just like making me feel less than I am would kind of keep me in my place to really just like, you know, just keep me around them and in the way that they want me to be around them, in the way that they want me to serve them in their lives. But I'm not here to just be a little like a servant for others and not ever, you know, stand up for myself or love myself. And I think compassion is cool, compassion is great, but not when you're really like preconditioned by your family to be nice to assholes. And as I've grown into my boundaries, as I've grown into myself and grown into my spirituality, I've grown out of that pattern as well. But that night on my birthday, it was a fun birthday. I like got this Airbnb, like I made it super cute, but we were supposed to like set up together, hang out the night before, do all this stuff. And then on the day of my birthday, my brother, he came to town too. I remember she like left the Airbnb like early on in the day. Her and my brother were supposed to run errands, like get the supplies and come right back. She spent the whole day hanging out with my brother. They went to brunch without me. I spent my 30th birthday alone until the very late night of like my party. And then, you know, people came or whatever. I didn't really have any help. I set up the whole thing basically by myself and did everything for myself on my 30th birthday. And then I remember like we went to the actual venue and I was like, this was the point in time where I feel like I was drinking a lot, or that night I did, because I was just really sad on my birthday, like because I really had nobody there. And so I remember like drinking and I was like, you know, I just was drinking too much on that birthday. But it's also a birthday and, you know, that's allowed, I feel like. So then I get to the venue and I had a pretty great time, but like I didn't remember until the morning that I apparently cussed everybody that I thought was fake out at my party. And in hindsight, when I look back at that, you know, like I guess just cussing people out isn't really cool, but in hindsight, nothing was said that wasn't just like factually true. But what like bothered people, I think, was and like rocked the boat is that I had never like asserted boundaries before. So it threw people off and people were very like shocked, like, oh, Brett, like I couldn't even know that part of, like people have this like perception of me that I'm some like nice little like quiet girl, but I'm a Gemini, and no, like that's not that's not my personality. I'm sorry if that's like the outward impression, but it's like even if I'm not always protecting myself and if I'm like, you know, just like not picking up on the cues of people kind of abusing me, I feel like that other Gemini twin kind of is like, no, like it's time to assert these boundaries. It's time to protect yourself. And so, you know, I very clearly, I just told them, I told them that wasn't cool. I told them that it wasn't okay to just leave somebody on their birthday, blah, blah, blah. And in return, they left me at the place blacked out. And I remember that, oh my God, that was crazy. And then, so they just left like halfway through the party, her and my brother. And then, you know, other friends were there, who I definitely consider like brothers and all that. And so, you know, that was great. And, you know, they definitely like protected me and were there to like kind of vent and talk to me about what happened and what went down. But that was like, I feel like that was my inner, you know, like that was what I needed to do for myself. But sometimes I feel like people drink because it's like when they drink, it becomes like you become this person that you ultimately kind of like need to, that confidence, that inner confidence that you ultimately need to have. But it's like, you're not ready to maybe be there. So you're like drinking to kind of cover it up or something like that. And I feel like that's really what was kind of going on. And the next day, everyone was just mad at me and blamed me and was all crying and hurt because I spoke some truth about their own really bad mistreatment to me. And and that's just like it's just kind of like a pattern, because I think there's just this misperception of like me being a good person that I won't stand up for myself or defend myself, you know? And I think that it's important for everyone to be able to speak your truth and defend yourself always. But it took me a long time to really get to that point of doing it without just like, you know, being in a party situation or drinking too much or something like that. So then, you know, like I really should have cut it off after that. Like that should have been that. And, but, you know, I let it kind of go on, and there was no apologies from anyone. There was no I'm sorries, but I thought that was normal because that's literally how I grew up. Like, my parents have literally never apologized to me for anything. Even if they've done terrible things, nobody in my family says sorry. Nobody says like, it's just no acknowledgement of feelings, of emotions. So I've never had that. But it's kind of like, I mean, I guess that's kind of sad, but it's also what makes me really strong and makes me who I am. And it makes me be able to do all that I can do, because I never grew up like with that. I never grew up with that kind of like support or that validation. So I kind of had to grow that within myself.
This is really interesting. Like, also, I can live some of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Use my raspy voice as I don't know why it's being this way right now, but but yeah, this is really interesting because I'm thinking I'm remembering the same time. Like, this was in Venice. Is it Venice?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, we were there. We popped in. Me and Myth, I remember.
I don't know if you missed the show.
Me and Myth were just dating at the time, and
I don't think you were there for the showdown.
I don't think so.
Because I went off.
I feel like we popped in and out for some type of reason, but I remember being there. And also, I didn't know a lot of these things that were happening in the background. So it's interesting to hear a recapture of this moment that I was there, but wasn't completely there on this side of it. So that's one part that I'm just kind of like interjecting in. But
also, I never shared it.
Yeah. So you know what? A couple of things that I'm noticing and we can keep this part or not, who knows? So if you get this part, it's going to be good.
We'll see.
But what I'm interested in hearing is like, wow. So there's a couple of things just noticing, right? And noticing as we continue to expand and grow is like at that time. And even right now, as you're sharing, there's a lot that you consumed and like, it's no, it's no wonder that, you know what, there's only an amount that you can consume, and then it either has to get out, right?
Right.
Get out. And it was so interesting because I was talking to Steph about this week too, about just like consumption, and there's like no more space for it. So, so I'm just directing listeners as we're talking, and just like,
she's doing her coaching thing.
Yeah. I'm noticing because like, okay, like we're like witnessing this expansion of you and also this letting go. And we hear some processing in it a little bit, but also just like there's this capacity, right? So once this is let go, and it might be a few conversations, so I'm interested to hear more, because actually whoever's listening, I haven't heard this version of her either. So I'm listening, just like you. But that's what's interesting to me as it's coming afloat. But, you know, some of the things that you're addressing is really not serious, but it's real and
tough.
And it's tough. Yeah. And also, something I want to invite you to do is like, you're saying, you know, we never said we were sorry. My parents, or how we operated.
Right.
And it could be a bit also, I get it. Like, it's also how they operated and probably how their parents operated and all of that. And you're not necessarily bringing judgment. So that's why she's talking very lightly over these things. But at the same time, a lot of these things are getting crumbled in a good way in you, right? Like, your consciousness of it allows you not to pass it on and keep going. And there's like a breaking in this.
It ends. It's over. That's not going to be part of my.
Yeah, that's what's happening. Yeah. So you know how you're like, no one's ever said they're sorry.
Yeah.
What would you have wanted?
Apology. Like an apology, probably. Yeah. Like one would probably be cool. Yeah. A feeling of, because sometimes that's not even like, sometimes I don't even need an apology if like I really feel the person is, you know, sorry, or they do it in a different way. But like that's not what I've ever really like received from the people closest to me. Like for instance, like if it's my parents and they do something really like shitty or whatever, like as has happened many times, it's just like they usually like try to buy me something. They'll give me something. Okay. They'll do something, but that's not the same as an apology, you know? It's not the same as even feeling really like you actually are sorry, and it's not changed behavior in any way, so the behavior never changes. But yeah, so and I mean, I guess for an example for that is like, I do try to talk things out with people. I'm very communicative. So like I did, you know, have conversations with her at various points, especially after this. And I said how it made me feel. I said it made me feel really shitty. Like, obviously, that's horrible to be like, have nobody really care on your 30th birthday. But like, it's so, you know, like I voiced it, I said it, and every time I've ever had any kind of conversation, it's always, oh yeah, like I'm sorry you feel that way. And that's it. Like it's cold, it's distant, it's not addressing anything. And then it also is a bit like, and then there's like a bit of a not like an outright lie about it, but it's like there's no ownership or accountability, you know, that kind of thing. But the interesting about that is that's exactly like what I received when growing up. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, like when certain people, like she definitely entered in my life when I was like at a space of misalignment, you know, like I wasn't being my highest self. I was raging and partying every night. I was not really present. And then a lot of the other friends that I met in the group, I was my highest self when I met them. And so it's a different experience. But when I'm like my lower kind of self, and it's like you attract your cycles, you attract your past, you mirror back your experiences. So I mean, I ultimately know obviously that she's just like a mirror, and that experience is a mirror, and it was mirroring back to me like the way in which I grew up. But at that time then I didn't understand it like that, you know? So yeah, like, you know, and I think that day, I remember I did explain it to one friend, which is so interesting because it's like at that time, I don't know. And I think that's just how I am. I'm very like I'm a Gemini, but my Mars is Cancer, and Cancers, as you know, because women are very secretive and keep things very like locked in tight. And I grew up having to lock everything in because I was never allowed to have emotion or express spirituality or anything. So it's like I'll talk to people that I know have experienced the same thing. And I won't say his name or anything, but like there was one particular guy friend who I know had been through a lot of this same kind of like upbringings and kind of like which causes like anxiety, all this kind of stuff. And I told him about it, how it kind of made me feel, and that was really nice because then the next day he and a small group of us, like we just went to the beach, you know, we hung out, and he treated me to like a brunch, and it definitely like redeemed it.
Yeah.
But I just know that not everybody is going to be open and understanding about such things. So I don't talk about stuff to a lot of people, especially and it's because it's different when you've had that kind of really harsh upbringing. Yeah. And it creates a different life path, I think, for a lot of people, and a lot of like issues for a lot of people that you have to move through. But at the same time, it makes you a really strong and capable person because you've always been under pressure. Like you've always been under slander and gossip and scrutiny because like that came from your own house. So it's like you're in a fucked up way, you're used to it, but then in a positive way, it's like you can take the heat.
It's what built you.
Yeah.
for sure. It's like you're strong.
What is that quote? Like, made from the fire. She's not
Exactly.
one of those kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Made out of the fire. It's funny because this week I've rewatched a Game of Thrones, and Daenerys is like the mother of dragons, and I get so much like power.
Wait, are you watching the new one too?
Oh, hell yeah!
Oh my God,
so good. I'm so into it.
It's getting so good. That's the one show me and Amith are watching.
Oh, so. I love it.
Every Sunday.
You should all watch it.
I'm glad you're watching it now, so now we can talk to you about it.
Yes.
But in this case, and of course we could go more if you have more to share, but I'm interested into like, what is it that you like, what are you accountable for in this, and how has this changed you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I talked about like the boundaries part. Like I already
that's awesome.
Like, I mean, I think that was the main.
And like, I really heard like you didn't honor your own intuitive pulls around
or
things.
Feelings.
Yeah.
But I was never allowed to, in my life, ever honor my feelings. And then like the relationships prior to that, like that I was in with guys or whatever, like the men that I was with them that never allowed me to express my emotion either, because I was just operating on past systems and past cycles, which I've since moved out of completely. But like I was really deep in like a loop, and for a long time I was like, oh my God, like I just think I'm cursed, and I went to card readers, I did all this stuff, but then I started learning about like the generational curses are actually a real thing, and that it is up to us a lot of the time to break those curses that stem from not just like our parents' family, but like from generations before that, and how like because how they operated was how their parents operated, and blah blah blah. And then if you're Black, it stems back to slavery, and that's a whole nother thing. Like that's a whole nother story for another time. But so yeah, I think that like it gets crazier. The story gets crazier because like after that, I was just like, I don't know. And it's so funny because even then, I just always would give people the benefit of the doubt. I was just always like, no, like, and I heard this, somebody said this, but it was like people who have like grown up, with like neglect, with like emotional abuse or whatever, like you in defiance almost of like how you've grown up, you want to instead be like overly compassionate. Even when I went to therapy, like even she said this, like my therapist, like that you want to be like as an act of defiance, you want to be like overly unconditionally loving and overly accepting of people. So then like after that time, I spiritually bypassed myself again. I was like, well, I mean, it kept going, and it kept continuing because there was no like change of behavior, and so then like the thing with like her and my brother, that continued and kept going. But what was weird about it was like, it'd be one thing if it was like something that was discussed with me, like, hey, do you mind if I like, like date your brother or whatever? Do you mind if this or that? That never happened. Like, it wasn't something like that. It was behind my back. And so then that just kept kind of like progressing. And then I started getting really weird energy. And that's when I started like distancing myself. I didn't go over her house anymore. And then, I just kind of like started protecting my energy in a sense. But then it got really weird because then it's like it just kind of like kept going, and it got more, I wouldn't say serious because it was just kind of like a one of those like hookup situations or whatever. But one day I was just like in my living room, and like she and my brother came into my house, and then they went off to our vacation home without me, and I wasn't invited. And and that was just like one of the instances where like I was excluded basically. And that happened like many times. And I guess yeah, and I addressed it again, like, and I chose to have a conversation again. And this time I really like went in and I was just like, yeah, no, this is absolutely not okay. And I'm really not comfortable with this. And it was just completely like, she just ignored it and was just like, I'm sorry you feel that way, and then kept going. And so this went on for about like two years. Like this went on to like from my 30th birthday to about like now. It was just like weirdly like off and on and messy and weird. And then it just got so much more bizarre because in the time of 2020 quarantine and all that, you know, I was grinding hard on my nonprofit and everything, and I wasn't concerned about what anyone else was doing at all, but like, I guess it just went further. And then she like started dating one of my friends, really close friends. And then, you know, that is when it really got really messy, because it was like, she was hanging out with both of them at the same time. And then it was like also behind my back. So then not only was I excluded from my own family, hangs, trips, then she started excluding me from my friends, my group of friends, and my friend, because she started dating one of my closest friends, and then she didn't want me around that. So I would find out that there were trips, and this and that, and I just wasn't invited. And so that's when, I really had to start questioning, like, wait, what is going on here? And what have I done? Like, how I've clearly gone way too far with this. And after she excluded me from my friend's trip, that was like the point where I was just like, no, like, this is we're not gonna be cool anymore. Because she lied to me about having a relationship with one of my friends, and like everything was a lie. Like, she lied to me about like nothing was honest, nothing was like admitted to. So that was just like where I had to draw the line. And so, I blocked her on everything. This is like a year ago. I blocked her on everything. And I really wasn't concerned because I had so much other stuff going on. Like, I had so much other stuff going on with my businesses. I was like this is kind of like when I was about to start like campaigning, start like jumping into NFTs, I was podcasting, I was doing so much stuff. So I wasn't really focused. But I felt this, like, I could feel this like heavy energy surrounding me. And granted, this energy was like on me from a lot. I was under fire from a lot of different areas because of like, I was campaigning. There's like judgment for that because it was a new thing. It was a risky thing. It was an exciting thing. It was a great thing ultimately. But like, people have a weird judgment about, I don't know, about people launching new things, about people starting new things. So there's just like chatter with that. And you can feel energy of like, chatter, gossip, whatever it is on you. But the more that I progressed and started doing new things, and then like started doing these new things consistently, and then also like started completely loving everything that I was doing, it's just like I could feel this energy even more heavily on me. And I was talking to, my Stuck team about this today, and one of my team members was just like, oh yeah, that's that evil eye energy, because she's Muslim, and that's, spiritually what they call it. And I do too. I refer to it as that too. And that energy, it's like, it's a heavy feeling. It's a heavy energy. And I think that a lot of times we can spiritually bypass that kind of energy is something else, which I think I've done a lot of times in my life. I'm just like, oh, I don't know, like maybe it's just like me feeling low or me feeling this or that. But I think when, there's chatter around you, chatter behind your back, slander, whatever, it's like you can actually viscerally, you can feel it in your body if you're that intuitive, if you're that, what Esther and Jerry Hicks call it, a tuned in, tapped on. What is it? Tuned in, turned on, tapped in. Something like that. But like when you're, really in that aligned, like clear space, it's like you can feel it in your body. And it's funny because it's like the more absolute like bliss and pleasure that I would feel from like being here now doing, like these positive things, the more that I would feel like this weird energy, this weird like heavy cloud. And so there were like, I think that can come from many areas. Many people can chit chat and chatter. And like, the more you excel and the more you grow and the more you expand, that's going to come from many areas. But when it's in your own circle or whatever, it's like you can feel that even more viscerally. Like you can really start to feel
you feel like you've been feeling it. You've been feeling it now. And then where do you feel it the most? Like
in my body, it's like solar plexus. So I don't know if you guys have have studied like the chakra system, but it's like, what is it? Kind of like below your, I don't know. It's like above your belly button, below your boobs. Yeah. Like in the center.
Yeah.
But that's a solar plexus. And solar plexus is like your confidence, your like
willpower.
Yeah, your security.
Your power.
Mm-hmm. So it's like that was under attack. Like it was under severe attack. And as well as my root chakra. So I feel it there, and it was like I would have like back pain.
That's where your support is. That's where your sometimes it's even where your financial support is. Right. That's where you feel at home. That's where you feel So those are, no wonder you're feeling it in those areas.
Yeah. So that's where I was like, would feel it. But I mean, I've been like meditating every single day since about 2020. And like, since in 2020, I just went on this huge spiritual deep dive. And, I learned all about the chakra systems. I learned how to like really manage my nervous system, and because due to like the upbringing that I had, it was always like, like I've had anxiety, I've had depression, but it's also like I've had these things, but I've never been allowed to like fully express myself. So I think anybody would be pretty anxious if you're just like, feeling trapped inside.
In your body, yeah.
Yeah. So so that's kind of like where I feel like you feel it in your body. Oh, as well as your dreams. Your dreams is where it really can come up. So like, I knew that this was happening, and my dreams are very real. Like I know things that happen in my dreams like are stuff that's like actually happening. I can really like, I know like that people show up in my dream. I think everybody in your dreams, just like in life, is really like a reflection of you, reflection of your own inner state, or like and that can mean like your lineage, your family, all that. Yeah. But it's like this girl kept popping up in my dreams, and it's like and multiple people would pop up in my dreams. And so I'm like, oh, okay, you're talking shit, got it. But what I do is just like, I don't know, I sit back and observe. And also I'm really hot tempered. Like I really have a really bad fucking temper. So like, I'm not gonna unravel or address something right when it happens, or I would like just be cussing this whole podcast, Yeah. It just that wouldn't be good. So, and I need to process things. So it was like heavily in my dreams. It'd be, and so that's kind of like where the attack would happen to my body. And I'd feel it. But I just kind of went on because I knew that like the truth always comes to light, and I wanted this person to show their own ass. So like, I really wanted to like, like like, I didn't want to have to like really address it, honestly, because I wanted, like, it should have been made clear. Like, if somebody's talking shit, like, whatever, like, clearly, like, where does that come from and why? Like, I think that needs to be questioned a lot of the time too. When somebody's gossiping, like, especially really heavily, just like about like one person or their ventures or their business or whatever, it's like, well, like, why would that be? And then, like, I thought about it, and it's just like, wow, that's so interesting, because like I've illustrated her, I've put her on like pillow, like, all the stuff. Like, it was just a very close relationship, like a really good friendship, I thought. But yeah, like, as it progressed and as the messiness happened, it's like there was just like more slander behind my back, and the people kind of like it, and then she started talking to the people that were closest to me, who I do have a very real, deep connection with. Like, day one, like, I mean, I say day one because like day one that I came to LA, kind of day one kind of thing. But yeah, like, so you can feel, I think, even more viscerally, like, when something's happening, when you have a connection with people, and you can feel that something's wrong or something that's off, or like something that that's not really right. And so yeah, that's kind of like how it happened. And then, in my mind, I'm like, wow, so this person, like, first it was like an attack on like family and stuff, then it was like attack on friends, and then it became my business in your mouth too. And not only that, but like my finances in your mouth too. And then I remembered, like, there was a lot of talk, like, because I think, like, I had to learn about the real damage I think that gossip, that chatter can really cause myself a lot in life. And you think that little things here and there doesn't really matter, but I started like putting two and two together, and like thinking about just like little comments she made to me over the years about like people and their money, like people and what they have and things and materialism, and like talking about she would talk about like one particular guy friend, and like how he has like a maid or whatever. And I just like, she didn't know my situation, so I never said that, like, because my parents are well off. I came from money and stuff like that, and so did a lot of people in our circle. And so she talked about that, and I just would like, I had all those things as well, but I'm not gonna like sit here and tell you that so you can then abuse them. But then she started catching on, started figuring it out, like, and then would get closer and got into my whole vacation home, which I really think is like, I hold that place as like that is my place of peace. It is my safe space. It is the land my grandpa's ashes are buried on. Like, it is my family's land. And it's just like, and I don't invite people there who I'm not cool with their energy. And it's just like, I invited her there. So that's just like literally my every boundary was then crossed. But like I said, going back to the beginning, like I kind of did that to myself by bypassing those boundaries from the beginning. But yeah, I think it's just crazy because like when you do that, it's just like it has this massive domino effect that can then happen and snowball, eventually into your business. And for me, like as an artist, my name is my business. Like if you're an artist, like it's kind of about your paintings, kind of, but especially in the capitalistic world that we've been in, it's really like, it's more about who you are. It's really about your name. It's really about what kind of socialite you are, who buys your paintings. It's all about that. And when somebody is in these streets slandering, your name, who you are, like what you're about, character assassinating you, your finances, like the progress of your business, lack thereof, whatever it may be, like that tarnishes and kind of unravels like the good work that you're trying to do. And it's really fucked up because it's just like I'm over here grinding my life away to like for for the betterment of like, I want, you know, to uplift collective consciousness. I want to expand people. I want to help girls that have no other opportunities right now. Like real life things are happening in this world. Like there are, you know, serious protests right now going on, you know, in Iran for like women's rights. We're actually at war. And to me, it's just like, wow, like just to think that like people actually have time to belittle and slander and gossip about people that are actually trying to, you know, do good in the world and make it better. And I all this work that I do, I don't just do it for myself. I do it for my friends. I do it to make a better life for all of us, for people who I connect with, for my family, for the people that I'm close with, like, because I like to share. I want to share the good that I create with all of them. That was the intention. But it's like now that can't really be done because they're, you know, apparently it wasn't what I thought it was. And I think that it just creates a real, I think that's it's like that incident is just a very like, it's like a microcosm of really like the macrocosm of like all that is happening in society right now and how people are treating each other and how people are treating like innovative artists or just innovative creators who are launching new ideas, new things, new thoughts. And it's like, for whatever reason, it's just like everyone wants to think that they have the right to judge artists, to like judge people's expression, to judge free thought. And I think it takes really small minds. I don't remember what that quote is. It's like I feel like it's like open minds or free minds, you know, discuss ideas, small minds discuss like, you know, other people and gossip and all that. And I think that it's just so reckless because at the end of the day, it always just bounces back to you. Like it always does. Like it's a swinging life. It's just how life works. It is law. And so on so many levels, I don't understand it.
So what do you think that you really want to leave our listeners with?
Right. So one, I realized that people love me so much, like, and that I am so loved and that I am loved, you know? And so all the messed up stuff like that happens and that the backstabbing that people do, it's really only happens when I take away my energy and pull it back to myself and call my own power back. So like, you know, it just made me realize that like, wow, damn, like I am really loved. And it's just people's like, you know, jealousy and anger and frustration of me stepping out of their lives that really causes the malice to happen. And then I also realized that like, damn, man, like I'm hella poppin'. For these people to be so concerned about me so long after I've left their lives, like that's wild. And I'm lit. 3, I realized that, hey, you know what, like, I am the party, you know, like, because I love myself, because I know what I bring to the table, and because, like, I was always, like, the one who threw the parties, brought people together, you know, and really just checked in on people, you know, beyond just the partying, like, you know, I'm the space, I'm the party, and then I realized that within myself and kind of, like, brought that confidence back to myself. And so those are some beautiful epiphanies for sure. I think it really relates to the protecting your, what do we call it? Protecting your energy in spirituality and business kind of episode that we did a few weeks ago. I think it really relates to that because I think that, and it also relates to boundaries, but or
you can speak about like kind of like what you would have done different. Like I honestly always feel like it's the process that takes us through to the learning. Right. So even if, like, remember we talked about this, like if we go back to that moment, you would have done the exact same thing and walked this exact same path, but now you're a different person because of that, right? Right. So now it's like, okay, but these are the things that I would have done differently, or if I could tell my younger self, like, what are the things?
I mean, I think I could have said that because I would have not bypassed my boundaries.
And also, what are you planning to do now? Like, I think
well, for now, I mean, well, so I exited myself out of that. Okay, so she was blocked and everything, right?
Yeah.
But I could still feel this energy leak. And it was just driving me nuts. And I was telling Stacey, I did a little micro dosing, and I was like, it really got me into a very clear headspace. And I don't know if you guys have ever done, like, had like any kind of trip or shroom trip or whatever, but like it really, it centers, I guess psilocybin really just like clears the mind, stills the mind, and it also floods the body, like the heart, with like so much light and so much love. So I was just like in this pure state of love, and I remember painting one day, and I was like, no, like something's wrong, because I feel like, and I can very viscerally tell when something needs to go in my life, or something needs to be exited out, or I need to do something or leave something or end something with somebody. But it was just like in an instant, I was just like, no, I need to get out of this chat. Even though she's blocked, I can tell that things are still going on. I can tell that things are still being said about me. So I exited, and after I did that, space opened up. After I did that, I felt so much better. After I did that, the cloud cleared from my head. Like it lifted. And over the past year, like there's been so many people who have tried to come for me, but like it was the ones closest to me, and I think that had the most effect on like my body. And so even though it's like I could be in these really blissful states of creating, there was still like this like little tone of like this like a little annoyance like in my dreams, you know, like just that I have to like, all right, wake up, meditate, get this out of my body, get this out of my solar plexus, you know, before I start creating, kind of thing. But yeah, since I did that, I feel so much better. Like I feel really great. Like I feel like a real heavy weight has been lifted. And I saw this quote the other day. It's like, may the bridges I burn light the way. And it was like, it was kind of like that experience. Like sometimes you do have to like, you can't be afraid to burn some bridges to like enter your new cycle, because not everybody can come with you to your next level. And that's what I was like. I think the Taurus moon in me and Stacey are both Taurus moons, and Taurus like comfort. We don't like change. We like things to be comfortable and cozy, and like people we know and like family we know and all this. And so it took me a really long time to be like, no, this change needs to happen. Like this is not cool. Yeah. So I expressed it also to the group as a whole. I was just like, although I know that it definitely just stemmed from one person, I was just like, it's not really cool for, you know, other people to like take the bait of gossip and run with it, take the bait of slander and make jokes about it. Yeah. Like what? Like I can't even, So, and, you know, and it did, you know, it did bring me like a lot of anger here and there, but also I'm really good at like, I journal, you know, I've made my own manifestation journal for Stuck Designs, because like I had to kind of learn how to process, you know, my own emotions, my own feelings, my own things that I've been going through. And I do it in a very, I guess I just do it in a way that like just gets the energy out of me, you know, gets it out of my system, so that I can be clear and grounded again and do the work for humanity that I need to do, that I was put on this earth to do. And it's just really fucked up for people to like either try to come in between that, or try to doubt that, try to tear that down, or, you know, or try to diminish me in any way for doing good. Because I think that so many people are so afraid to even take a step in the direction of, you know, their highest self, their highest success. And I've pretty much been doing that since 2020. I've been like completely devoted to that. And there's nothing wrong with like dipping out and just doing your own thing and like, and painting every day and falling in love with that process. Like there's nothing wrong with it. And I think that capitalistic society has people so wrapped up in this thing of like you have to be the same person as you always were. You have to be on the scene. You have to be doing this or that, or, just all these unnecessary expectations when you can be at inner peace, really doing what you love. And yeah, it's the people around you should support that. Like you should have people, dreamers around you, thinkers around you, free thinkers around you, doers, and people who support this. And now that I do,
and then I think even what you're saying, you also have to be clear on who is not that, right?
Right.
And then that's some of our own responsibility of okay, I had
I didn't want to see it.
These false expectations on this person that's not in the same realm, and it could just be in any case, right?
Yeah.
Just because, it could be even our family or people around, like you mentioned in the beginning about people don't see the same vision, but it's like not their vision to carry.
No.
Right? And not that you're putting that on them or blaming that, but just like as we keep growing, and we are taking personal responsibility, we're like, it doesn't condone what they did, and it's also okay for us to take our own energy back, like our own side.
Well, because for the longest time, that's what I did. Because I keep so much stuff in, I was just like, I just kept my vision in. I would just keep my stuff to myself
instead of sharing it. Yeah.
And because that's what I always had to do, like growing up, to protect my own dreams. But I didn't realize that I also apparently had to like protect that from, people close to me, but because I always thought there was that support there. But sometimes I think that
you said it right in the beginning. If somebody doesn't have that own vision for themselves, that's okay.
Yeah.
They might have a different one. And like we were talking about,
there's nothing wrong with that, honestly.
Yeah, they have like I don't know why I have this table example, but like let's say one of the legs of the table goes off, that like theory is shaky, right? Like, so whatever theory or reflection of someone has of themselves, and they're like, you're questioning that in some reason, they're uncomfortable with this.
Right.
But I think it comes down to who you allow
in your circle, right? Or in your...
Yeah, not only your circle, because I feel like there's some people that are unavoidable in ways.
That's true,
right?
too. That's true too.
And there's also people that you get to allow and that you get to choose to have in your world. And there's some people that are going to be in your world no matter what. So it's like, how do you navigate those two things?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I heard it, actually, there's this one relationship teacher. Her name is Stacy Martino. And she was talking about toxic people, friendships, and family, and your seventh power people.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, like this is like if there's two people, right? The friends and family, because toxic people you can walk away from,
right?
And then there's friends and family. Some of them you can't necessarily always.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like that's how I consider them, as like family.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I was like, oh, she's toxic. I can walk away from her.
Yeah. And some of the people can leave. But then there's also the seventh power people, or like people that are kind of like on the same frequency of consciousness and so on. But anyway, there's one area, I have my two hands up. I know you guys can't see me, but I have my two hands up. And one is that, let's say, family and close friends, or friends that are going to be in our lives. And then there's the people that are on your same frequency. So on this side is where we lead, right?
Yeah.
And then this side is actually where we get. Like, this is where we give and this is where we get. So it's like really remembering that,
giving and receiving
intention over like where we're seeing. You can't give them any authority over your, like, how can I share? How can I be a big person when that's not who they are? So, and that's like a lesson that I learn continuously over and over and over, and learned it in different areas. And then figuring out, I learned it in this area. How can I translate it to this other area?
But the weird thing is, it's like, I never did that with any of the, like, I never, I'm
saying, like, even like with her, let's say, for example, even though there may be judgments or there may be whatever it is on the other side, it really has no authority over you, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like none whatsoever. And also there's a point of just a process between that, because the thing is, like, at some point you did, because of the closeness.
Yeah.
because of the love, because of the inner circle,
right,
you give these people an opportunity to see you in a certain, like, right, you're like vulnerable to them and like open and receptive, and you bring them into your home in a way, right? Like bringing them into home to who you are. So that's where you're talking about the boundaries in the beginning of
right.
Like actually this was a boundary and I kind of knew it intuitively, but yet I still brought these people even in closer to have that type of authority or even energy around me. So yeah, I mean, it's just like a continued learning on our side. Yeah.
And also I think that, all that is true. And then I guess the last thing I'd say is just like, it really reminded, I don't know why, but lately, like I've just been connecting again to like just my inner dreamer. And I think it was because I was probably like, I went back to my old, my Tumblr archive and like what I used to post back in the day. Yeah. And I mean, I've been the same conscious person from like, since I started that Tumblr. I remember like, I feel like I started it right after college, and but I was just such a free dreamer, such a free spirit. And I feel like people are so afraid to just like dream and to believe that their dreams can happen or that their dreams are real. Just because, I mean, we're in some pretty dark ages. I mean, you know, things are pretty bleak, like with the state of the world, but it's still okay to dream, and it's still okay to believe that your dreams are real and they can happen. Like no matter, you know, how people want to tear you down or tell you that they're not or whatever. And I think that also no one has a right to put a timeline on your dreams because they are yours. And like, and you are on, you know, God's divine timing and not like this matrix-based time frequency that a lot of people are on, completely unaware that they're like looped into this kind of like capitalistic mind frame. So yeah, I think I'd kind of like end it with that. Like it's okay to be you, it's okay to dream, it's okay to express that, but make sure you protect your boundaries as you're doing
and
that.
Then also, I love that you shared this. Like, it's okay to express that it hurt and that you would have liked an apology, and also noticing and acknowledging some of the areas where, okay, now you have this newfound opportunity of really honing in on what is intuitively right for you and noticing those things in the beginning.
From jump.
And as it continues to unfold, because it sounds like something that'll continue to unfold and we'll get to see and witness your breakthrough in this area.
Is that Chanel?
Yeah, it is. Bonnie was in the beginning and now Chanel. But that's some of the takeaways I hear from this.
Yeah, I think that those are definitely the takeaways. I think that's good. And also, like for me, how I finally like lay to rest a situation is, I think because I'm a Gemini and it's ruled by like communication, it's like I need to talk about it. And so this is like me like closing that chapter, closing that cycle, closing that door on that, because it's like once I've been pretty much processing this for like a year, but like once I'm done, you know, processing it, I need to like speak on it, clear it, and then I move on, next cycle. And so I feel good. I feel like a new cycle has been beginning for me for a long time, and it feels really good to be in a new space and to be like, I'm working on an oil painting I've been working on an oil painting collection for a really long time because it takes a really long time, but I've finally been like falling in love with the process, you know, of it, and so that feels really
I loved how you talk about a couple of things I've just released too: journaling, communication, and also just like noticing these things in your body, meditating, because I think it is on all the different levels. I think we didn't really speak on that, but another huge thing that you notice is like how it's on every level, spiritually, mentally, physically, and where so then all the different actions you had to take, it was like you really hit all the different realms. And as you continue to release this from you, your energy, and allow yourself to expand. And
you know, the work is continuous, like and constant. Like you always have to like meditate and release, like things from your body. And I think that I made a health highlight thing on our Instagram too, because I know that we've wanted to like tap more into like mind, body, soul alignment, because getting into your body is really important. So yeah, I think we're going to discuss that next, probably.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Releasing and getting into your body. That's
yeah. And I think that's that, guys. Thanks for listening to me rant. If you made it to the end, I love you. But yeah, and I also hope it like maybe helped you, because I think that we all kind of go through the same but totally different things, on the level up journey and process. So
yeah, well, it would be interesting to hear any questions that you have for Brett. And how she's moving through this and allowing herself to feel.
Yeah.
And then also come on to the other side, because the biggest thing that we're picking up now is, like not bypassing, but actually
feelings, right?
Yeah, like moving through.
That's a thing, because I did have to really like, really did have to like, feel into my feelings, into like
intentionally, because you're so strong that how do you even access that?
Right. And it was hard for me for a while. But also like my Mars is Cancer, and Mars is like how you move in this world, how you kind of like your method of operation. Mm-hmm. My method of operation is like a Cancer. Like I'm kind of like really emotional, but it just takes a minute for me to like, it's like, sometimes I just don't want to get there. I don't want to take it there. But I have, over the past couple of years, like, all right, Brett, you got to feel these feelings. Got to let them out. Got to cry sometimes. But I'm just not like a podcast crier or anything.
I got that.
I don't really like to cry in front of other people. I'm not like, you don't either, really. You're a crier, but
on the low.
Yeah.
But a lot.
Okay, well. All right. Well, have a great Friday, guys.
Friday. Yeah, intention.
Yes. Have a beautiful week ahead.
Also, check out our companies to support your ascension and to give back to underserved girls through art and self-love.
You can check out more on me, Brett, and my art, coloring books, and self-love affirmation cards that will support you on your own art and self-love journey, relieve stress while giving underserved girls of color the gift of art. Follow at Stuck Designs, that's STUK, on Instagram, or visit stuckdesigns.org.
And you can check out more about me, Stacey, at exalther.com. There you can find out more about my book, Exalt Her, 12 Ways to Unleash Your Unstoppable Beauty. It's about being more of who you are from the inside to out and sharing more of your gifts with the world. I host workshops and coach one-to-one around aligning with yourself, your life force, and your legacy. You can also find out more and follow us on Instagram at exaltedwoman.com.
Happy Friday and have a great week.